I saw one Assyrian guy, one or two, my classmate, and then maybe two or three Armenian Assyrian, but no women, no Assyrian woman that I'm sure, I don't know why they were not pushed to do this. I wish everybody was pushed so we can get out and excel. The thing is just a norm. You just follow the norm. You always be just a norm. But if you want to make changes in the world, you have to kind of not the break rules, but deviate, take risks. I took a lot of risks.
Hey everyone, Rhoda here. It's been a while since I've had a chance to interview someone for the podcast, and this interview really felt like a homecoming of sorts, to get back to the essence of why we love sharing the stories of different Assyrians with you. Today's guest is Sandra Solaiman, one of the world's leading experts in the world of animal science and specifically goats and their nutrition. Her research focused on what levels of minerals are appropriate for goats to consume. She holds a PhD from the University of Missouri in animal sciences and has served as a professor at Tuskegee University in Alabama. She has made several national and international contributions to the world of animal nutrition and still serves as a committee member on the USDA National Animal Nutrition Program Board. She's the author of a textbook on goat science and production, which has been translated in many languages. Sandra's story is impressive, audacious, and awe-inspiring in the truest form of the word. Aside from our conversation about her education and work experience, we also delve into her personal life. Sandra speaks boldly and bravely about her experience with domestic violence, so if conversations about abuse are triggering to you, that part starts at about the 53rd minute to the full hour mark. This is a very raw part of the interview, and I hope you take from it whatever you need to. And now, without further ado, here's Dr. Sandra Solaiman. Let me start by saying welcome to the Assyrian podcast. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
Well, I thank you, and I am honored to be here and be worthy of speaking to you all. That is, I thank you for that. I didn't think I am anything that would be contributing, but everybody has a story, and stories are different, and they can contribute in a different ways.
I totally agree. Sandra, I've had a chance to read the story you've written about your own life that you want to share with, you wanted to share with your kids and their kids someday. And it was really eye-opening for me to see that because your story is quite a bit different than the story of a lot of people we have interviewed on the podcast or the story of many of our parents even.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to dig in and talk about some of those differences and how those differences have sort of shaped your life and brought you where you are. I think one of the interesting part of your story and your upbringing actually has to do with your parents and sort of how they brought you up and their relationship with work and education. Do you mind starting there and telling us a little bit about your parents and what they were like when you were a kid?
My parents were from Golpashin, Julpertend, they say in Assyrian, from Urmieh originally. And mom was from a well-to-do family, the landlords. Golpashin was her dad, and my great-grandfather owned it. So that was that. And dad was a very blue-collar labor mason. His father was a great master mason, but it was two different cultures. Mom was very supportive of women's education in total. She didn't have more than 6th grade degree, but she read Farsi and Assyrian, the Bible, of course. And she was wise. There is this book smart and there is wisdom. Mom was wise. She was my rock. She was the one, she said, just as much as you can. You cannot achieve anything except through education. And that's very true. There are echelons of people. Some people come with money. Some people don't. Even mom was well-to-do. She always used to give us all the good food. She said, I had it. I ate this. That was always we had. You eat this. Mom, you need it. No, I have had it. She was that way. She was very giving and very, I don't know. Are you going to make me cry? Talk about my mother. But Dad was okay. He was a very open-minded person, but he wasn't, he was a good time boy. He would drink, as all Assyrian do in Iran, that generation, would come drunk, never raise his hand on mom. He loved her. Mom, I'm sure, loved him, but resentment through the life and not being very good monetary support, she had to bring from her inheritance and sell and provide for the family. It was some things in there, but I know bottom line, they loved each other. But Mama was the one that want to push, want to be different, do this. That was I would always talk back to that. And he said, you're the only one talk back to me, and I love that. Do it. Which father will say that to a child? Think about it. That gives you a lot of power as a child and as an adult later, because if that allows you to tell him that, don't drink, that's not good. I mean, whatever. And he, okay, all right, whatever, accept. But maybe at the time he didn't. But at the end, he did. So you can give him a credit for that. That was his character, his contribution. And mom was nurturing and supporting all through schooling, college in Iran. She took care of my son. I married too early. She took care of my son. She was encouraging. She did everything for us to get education. That's what she was. We didn't have money. We had to do it through being first student, top student, so we can get scholarship. That's my route, was that way. So we didn't have much. Parent didn't give me anything. I didn't get anything. When I came to US, zero from parent was a scholarship, Al-Bur's scholarship. There was at the time they would give top student. So I'm very self-made, except my emotion, my body, my mental support from parent. I can contribute. That is important.
Yeah. How did your parents meet, and what was their sort of story of getting married? Because it seems like they came from two different backgrounds.
Exactly. Well, if you would read through those years, we had wars going on, and there's a 2-day the party, and Dad was a rebel. Basically, he was a rebel. And, he was rebel at the end too. He was just rebel. Good guy, but rebel. So he liked mom. He just loved mom. I'm sure mom liked him too, because it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't both. So, but he would never be able to ask for her hand. But the thing that happened in there, my grandfather, he was not educated lawyer, but he had a lot of law and knew the law, the local law. He was a landlord of Golpashin, very effective, big village of Assyrian at the time. He was exiled through the government of in Urmieh to Tabriz. So there was no father. That's one. When there are girls, 3 girls, 1 boy, which my uncle was. Julius Golpashin was very famous in Urmieh. So that's one thing that wasn't there. And when he came back, in about time that Mama got together and married or eloped, they eloped, by the way. And so he passes away. And I think just before he passes away, he eloped my mom. And the mother was not very happy, my grandma, with that, because as I said, he wouldn't dare to go ask for her hand. It has to be, this is the only way. So, and mom was not young. I mean, she was like 25 years old for those days. That's pretty old. But Anyway, yeah, he eloped her, and he was a soldier, and he comes from soldier, and had some friends, and they managed it. So, and grandma didn't agree. I never saw my grandma, my mother's side, but she married, and she went to my other grandma because that was a tradition, going to the father husbands, and she had a very hard time. Very, and her mom would not support her, no money. And then dad had to run away because he was communist for the time, with the Tudeh, that was the Communist Party, because Russia would influence Assyrian Christian in that time. You don't remember, Russia was for Catholic and then changed to communism. So, but that mentality stayed. So dad had to run away. Mama did not have any money, and he needed like 200 tuman, which is nothing, but he needed it to escape. So she goes and begs for 200, and finally she finds 200 tuman, and she gave him 100 because he escaped. That's when she was suffering. She had no money. She escaped with a funeral procession. Yes, hidden. So he goes to Tabriz, from there goes to Kermanshah, down to Abadan. That's where I was born. But two of my siblings, they were born in the village of Golpashin. So, and then $100 in his pocket. So that's what mom's life was at the beginning with this man, which is a handsome man. My dad was a handsome man, I'm telling you. So, and then after 2 years, 1950-ish or 49, he got there. He started working with the bus company. It was related to oil, but it wasn't the petroleum company, the Iranian petroleum. It was the bus system that supports that. So he started making some money, asked for mom to come, and then two siblings came down, and then I was born in one of the poorest part of the town. When I read the history, that was when Shah comes and sees the misery of Iranian. They didn't think as Assyrian, just Iranian, in what situation they're living, and English are getting all that money. And because yet I think the oil company became Iranian oil later, just about that time. Mossadegh and all those things happened. So I read a little bit of a history. So that time was my birth time. And so we were one of those that Shah comes and he says, oh my God, this is miserable. So one room, one little bathroom, and just, I don't remember that, but that's how it was. And then of course, situation got better. And that got better, and we got in a Brame, and then we went to Bovardé. It was interesting, very interesting. I just remember Brame. I don't remember Karun or Ahmedabad. I don't remember that.
You had written something about how because your family didn't have a whole lot of money to send you to a school, you had to make sure that you got good grades, and so you got into the university. You went to the university in Iran, which for the time was not very common. So can you talk a little bit about your path to your education in Iran during that time? What was you talked about your family being super supportive of education, but how was that different than all the other girls your age?
Well, yeah, supportive, but not money-wise. Remember, we were on our own. We have to, my two siblings, they begged my brother. There are girls don't go to school. I mean, it's not that important, but they begged my brother to go to University of Tehran. He said, I don't want to waste your money. He wasn't very Excel student. He was okay. He was very mechanical. So he was with radio. Actually, he was with radio and television in Urmieh for 30 years. He was an operator and engineer. So he had hands-on Philips industry. He got training in there, but he didn't go to university. So from my family, I was the first one. And I was a very good student from the beginning. I didn't see many Assyrian women, girls in a college. And here I was coming from Abadan, and I wasn't in Urmieh, and I'm the only one in there. It's just like, what happened to Assyrian? Why don't we have anybody in here? I just was very saddened by that I did not see. I saw one Assyrian guy, one or two of my classmates, and then maybe two or three Armenian Assyrian, but no women, no Assyrian woman that I'm sure, I don't know why they were not pushed
Mhm.
to do this. I wish everybody was pushed so we can get out and excel. The thing is just a norm. You just follow the norm. You always be just a norm. But if you want to make changes in the world, you have to kind of not the break rules, but deviate, take risks. I took a lot of risks. I did not know, but I did. I was just my mentality. I think the way that I was raised, so different. No wonder I didn't have many friends because I didn't have many Assyrian friends because it wasn't fitting. I couldn't associate. I wanted somebody, wanted to college, wanted to do this one, but they were not. They were not there. I did not see it. So that's at the time. But now I know so many of you. I'm so glad. I should have born now to be like you. Because I would have fit, then I would have some colleagues and guys and girls that they are in my own era. But now I'm old. I'm very old. Wasn't
I think
about
you were just ahead of your time.
very. I think I didn't think at the time. I think that the time is a normal. That's what you should do. Because there were some Persian did that, women a lot, but not Assyrian. That was my dilemma. Why not Assyrian? We had all my girlfriend, there were 10 of them in a 20, 30 class. It was a lot of them, but not Assyrian. I was disappointed. And then, of course, mom keeps saying, education, education. That's the only way you can get somewhere, baby. That's the only way you don't. You want me to tell you the truth, what she said? She said, child, your dad, is not one of the best of husbands because he drinks all the money. If I had any education, I wouldn't take all of this. All I had to do now, if I divorce your dad, I had to go and be a maid because I had no other talents except cleaning houses or washing clothes. I want you to study. I want you to be independent and be in your hand. What you want to do with your life, not to be present because you have to. And then you have children. You should advance. That's very important message. Very be independent. And I took it literally that I have, and I could. So like, and let me tell you about this interesting thing. In grade school, I was top student. My parent would never go to school to check. They didn't know who's my parent, and this is a good student. They would beg me, ask dad or mom to come. Of course, mom would never go. Dad finally went. And when I was like top student, they want to give me جایزه, that's a present.
An award,
Award, exactly, thank you. An award. Nobody was going to get it to the school. So I had to wrap myself, whatever we have at home, and take it to school so they would give it to me. This is, I want to tell you, but these things shouldn't disturb you. You shouldn't, it should be, mine was all in a positive way. I will do better. I will do better. That's just, it was natural. It just, I didn't, never questioned it. Never questioned. I just went on. And even to the point, I was so sensitive when I was in high school, this is high school time, and mom couldn't buy her clothes, nice clothes, a costume, they call it costume, means made things, I went and I got sewing lessons. I became Girl Loving. Girl Loving was I think German company that they made clothes. So I made her suits. Top student in school, but I tried everything. Even now I do. So I made her clothing, beautiful suit, two-piece and all that, just because I wanted my mom to look good. So that's a 10th grade. I mean, when I think about it now, what have I done? But anyway, so this was the character. So from in Urmieh, that was in Abadan. 11th grade, I finished, and we went to Urmieh because my dad was boss Harid, they call it severance. They retired him and they gave him severance. And so we had to go to Urmieh. And of course, they had, Mama had chairman, the vineyards and all that. So she sells some of those. And we bought a house in there, very nice house. We just sold it. They just sold it. And I want to give the money to the churches in there for assisted livings and things like that. That's my plan. I don't want a penny of that. Mom will be very happy to see that. So anyway, we went to Urmieh in Shadokht, which was at the time the big high school. And there, I was top student in the 12th grade. And I didn't have very many friends. I just was very focused in my mission. I had a mission to get to college. That was a breakthrough for the family. So I was top student in the school, and I was top student in the state. So that was one, accomplishment, which I was very happy because maybe place was smaller than Abadan. I don't know. But in Abadan, I was top student all the time too. But this was like big. And then entrance exam, I became not the top, the second top. 5, the top got scholarship, and I got scholarship in College of Ag, Urmieh, Rezaye, College of Ag. And I became top student there, and I graduated top student from there. So that gave me the ticket to get to Bunyad al-Bors, which was a place that they give you money. So that was about 6,000 2 months at the time, 1970s was good money. And then I got full scholarship to wherever I want to go. And I applied to Illinois, got accepted, University of Arizona, got accepted, University of California, got accepted. And I chose California. So then my ex, I married in between there too. I just
a lot happened.
I was on a mission. I don't know why. So anyway, so to tell you what happened is just committing, and don't let environment disturbances, inequality. If you don't have money, when there is a will, there is a way with the prayers, not just like that. There should be a blessing. I think I am very blessed person. God has blessed me all my ways. This is not accident. This is not accident. It can't be, because you can't just, you're not making the big breaks. I'm not saying that I was the top in the United States, but whatever I did, I did the best. That's all you have to do. You have to be the best in whatever you do. And that's what will come out. That is so important. Don't be little in everything. Try to focus and be good for whatever God has given you, or opportunities of this world has given you. That is my story. You do whatever you have, and you will be blessed. Don't ever say why the other one has. Say, why don't I have? Not why the other one. It doesn't matter. They can't have I always, through my schooling, I never said, I wish I want to get A. I hope that doesn't get like the other student that is competing. I said, no, I want an A too. That's that's a positive. But then you say, I want A, nobody should get A. I hate that. That is negative. In the same outcome, right? It's the same outcome, but there's a positive way, there's a negative way. So I chose the positive way. And I think you get blessing through that. So
you talked about the fact that you went to the ag school in Urmieh. Is that because that was the sort of path that was available to you, or was there some interest on your part in agriculture that you wanted to pursue?
No, it was not my first choice. I was nerd. I still love chemistry. I still love biochemistry. I made A's in all my chemistry and biochemistry in Iran, in here. I want to be chemist so bad, but not a doctor. No, I didn't want to be a doctor, but I wanted to be chemist. I don't know what. I loved chemistry, and I couldn't go because mom, dad would not. That would never happen. First of all, there was no money to support, because that little scholarship wasn't going to give me the room and board in Tehran, because I had to go to Tehran. Only College of Ag was available in Urmieh. That's why I went. Maybe that's why I succeeded, because I was above the ag. I could have been doctor, engineer. I don't know. I'm just telling you, it was all A's. And with the kid, I had a baby when I was a second year in college. So maybe that's a blessing too. You never know what happened and how they happen. And it's all for a reason. You just have to wait. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna be going to school. I can be nerd. All my cousins, none of them, they're beautiful, very educated. None of them have are been married. None of them. Sister before me, no. So I said, you know what? I have to take chance. I have to get married. If not, I will never get married. I mean it. I agree. Because, and I knew when I divorced, I will never get married. And that's very, very true. That's just the way it is. So you're right. I got married because I said, I don't want to fall behind. And school doesn't define me only. I have to make my life complete. And of course, it was my instructor. It wasn't that I was looking around. It was there, and it happened because he was my instructor. And I married him, got to know him on the second year, and then married at the end, and then had a baby on third year. So
It all
so
happened very quickly.
everything, going to school, and getting married, getting a child, and then coming to US. It was all in like 5, 6 years. It's a mission. Like I have this mission, and you want to come with me, you come. If not, I'm going. That's how, because I told my ex that this is me. I have a goal. I will go to United States. Why United States? Because the farthest that I may never be able to go. That's some stupid reason in my head. Not Europe. No, I'm going to go to United States because it's the hardest and farthest that I should go. So, and I was, my GPA was almost 4, so got accepted in all of them, with all my F's from Revolution, because we didn't go boycotting school. It was interesting. The school was interesting too.
So I did read about that, and I was going to ask you. So you said that you did have 3 Fs in your
Mm-hmm.
transcript
Mm-hmm.
because this was during the time of the Iranian Revolution.
Yes.
So
75, 73, 74, 75. Yes.
was the idea that if you didn't boycott, you were going to get an F, or if you did boycott, you got an F?
Well, no. If I boycotted, I'll get an F. See, most of the nerds, that they were not as good of a student as I was. Very popular, good student. Not, I was with the like my dad. I was with the today. I was with the people. I was a people person. So when we boycotted, I did not go. I know it's going to hurt me a lot because I was I was top student at all time, but I didn't care. At the bottom line, I have to be with the people. I did not just go there because if I would just go, take the test, I would make an A. They gave A. But those students that went, they were so weak. They were nothing to compare to the good student. We had few. I have one of my best friends from college. She's in Dallas now, Marion. And she didn't go. She was like second top. I didn't go. And those 3 Fs were replaced later with an A. But UC Davis asked me, he said, what's going on in here? You got all these Fs. But then with all that, I got 3.78 GPA. Those only 3 caused this trouble. So what's going on in there? I said, well, it was revolution, and I didn't go to school. I was with the crowd, with the rebels. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. You got A later, yeah. So, and I got really A's in UC Davis too, but my ex couldn't get in. We had to.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you about. Well, one is that you came to the United States first before
Absolutely.
your ex-husband and your son.
Yes.
Talk to me about, like, this is why I'm so interested in your story, because you are such a mission-driven person that
I'm futuristic.
yeah, but the decision to decide I'm going to leave my son with my mom and my ex, and I'm gonna go pursue this mission that I have. For your time, I feel like, and even now, I feel like that is such a progressive idea and thought. So like, what went through your head when you realized you wouldn't be able to take your son with you, that you would be going on this journey alone?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm very mission driven and practical, very practical. And remember, I had an opportunity, a great opportunity. Without really working that hard, having my baby and all the trouble that I had in life, when you read about my child, what happened when, second year of a marriage was just disaster, but I made it. So now I am top student and I got the scholarship. Do you think I will let it go? Oh, no, nobody could stop me now. There's no way. Mom, go, I'll take care of him. And she did. She did take care of him through my college years. It's not only after that 1 year that I was
Right.
6, 7 months that I was here without him. She was raising him. That was her baby. He was the king of the house. And he would sleep there before because I would study, and she would say, okay, you go study, I'm taking care of him. That is support. That I am doing this for my kids now. That's what I do. Because I see where's a need, you ask all of them. They say, wherever's a need, mama is there. Right now, my child in New York, the doctor, oncologist, and all that, she is needing me. She's right. I'm really having a hard time to leave my independence and go and help out because she has nanny. Don't take me wrong. I'm not going to do labor work, but just being present, taking care, like my mom was, her grandson wasn't working for me. I had the cleaner person would come to the house, do the cleaning, washing, but she was taking care of him. So if it wasn't for my mom, I would have never be comfortable to leave home like that. My husband, I could leave. My child was important, has to be taken care of, and mom was better than me. She was wonderful, wonderful. So that's why I had that big support. And of course, opportunity arrives. And my ex said, well, I'll follow, because he was instructor and he could get some scholarship too to come, but he couldn't get in schools because he didn't have as good of a grade that I had. So that was my kind of a downfall. That then you would have said to me, wow, how you did that. If I would say, Fred, you go, I'm staying UC Davis. I couldn't do that. I was still that follower, that the woman of that era that will go with her husband and sacrifice her career. I sacrificed. UC Davis is one of the top agricultural schools. And if I would have graduated, I'm an IB schools. That was a big school. And I left and I was doing well, very well in there. I had no problem, but I had to go. That's where you see the woman of that time. Probably woman of this time will say, you go, we'll just communicate. You can leave the kids with me, whatever. But I had to go. So I became follower. We went to Oklahoma State, which was shocking. And then from there, Missouri, which was, we are going down. I'm going down. I'm not going up. But at least I got the degree. I could, that's where my dependency, my submissiveness kind of excelled. But coming from Iran, having support of my mom, if mom was here, I wouldn't go anywhere. I would stay right there in California to finish my degree. That's but it's just first my child. He was my responsibility. I always say that when you bring a child to this world, you are responsible for them. They did not ask to come. You brought them. Don't forget that. Many mothers and parents, people just forget. They think they came. I mean, you brought them. So
the other thing I thought about with that part of your story is that it would be very easy for you to sort of wallow in the misery and sadness of like leaving the top ag school in the state of California, probably at the time and maybe even now, like one of the best ag schools in the country. But instead, it goes back to you being a very practical person and pragmatic person to think like, okay, well, if I stay here, if I tell my ex-husband that I'm not coming with you, I will just it will just be me and my son, and maybe like he would do something to for me to not have my son. So to make that sacrifice of saying like, okay, I'll follow you to Oklahoma. It's not UC Davis, it's not California, but I will go to Oklahoma. I think it speaks even more to your practicality and your pragmatism, because you at the end it goes back to the mission that you had, and wanting to one be responsible for your child, but also just finishing your degree, and the sort of faith and trust that you had in yourself, and the how self-aware you are that wherever I go I'll make it.
Yeah,
So let me
that's
go
it.
there. And
Definitely, that's it. That's my mentality. I'll make it. Yeah.
yeah, because so then you leave California, you go to Oklahoma, because that's where he ends up getting. And you and I spoke a little bit about this last time, but this is still the 70s,
Yes.
and it's the United States. It's not a good time to be someone who's from Iran living in the United States. Can
No.
you talk a little bit about that experience? What was that like for
Oh
you?
my goodness. Very, very good point. Well, in Oklahoma, it did not happen yet because it was, I think, Iran Revolution 77, 79. And I finished 76 from 76. Yeah, finished the Oklahoma State. So 70, I was in Missouri when everything just fell apart and the scholarship stopped. What they call consulate of Iran still, what they were still getting on and off and going, still they're still semi-functional. Even the 79, they were semi-functional. They were not, there were some good people in the embassy in Iranian consulate that they kept sending money to me for even after a year after revolution, when was things were not stopped yet. It takes time before it can reflect. And they would say, you deserve this, because I was a very good student. And actually I was being in state because they gave me assistantship. When you get assistantship in a college, then you are in state tuition, which is way cheaper than international student. So they were just saying, hey, this is nothing what you're charged. I'm going to pay you all of it. You deserve, like if that was at 2,000, I was only charged 500. He sent me 2,000 from embassy because he believed in me. He said, you deserve, everybody else is costing us so much. You deserve this. It was God sent. I mean, so this is part of it, that it was God for a while, but of course that stopped. And being maybe Midwest, I did not, and also me, myself, also remember we are Christian, and we may associate a little bit better with the time. So I was not as much penalized, except when I want to get a job. When I finished, lingered, didn't graduate. Missouri supported me, assistantships, whatever they can extend to me, they did. I had no problem. Many Iranian that I know in different places, they were like in Auburn, Alabama, where I end up. It was horrible. I heard the stories that they were scrutinized, the rocks in their houses, and just like really, really scary situation for them. We did not experience that. At least Midwest wasn't like that. The people maybe in Midwest are a little different. They're more neutral. They're not as racial. So South is more racial. You remember that. So Missouri, I didn't feel anything, except, of course, money wasn't there, and I needed a job. And how much more I can stay, linger. My PhD, I got it 84. I could have gotten it 82, but I wouldn't. Right there, there was Iran, Contra, whatever. It's just so much was happening. It was hard to get a job. And I didn't want to go back home. Being Christian, heck, I'm here, I'm not leaving. That was definitely, and no, I wasn't gonna. My dad, when I left, said, never come back, child. That's what he said. Never look back. Never look back. Okay. That's how message was when I came. So we made it, but I couldn't get, I was a very good student. I had a very good research, everything, but I couldn't get anywhere. Tuskegee University. I could get to Tuskegee University because National Meeting of Animal Science was in Missouri at that 84. And I put my resume on, and my advisor said, Sandra, at this time, it is so bad situation that you will never get a job. So try everything. And when I got Tuskegee's acceptance, the dean asked me to apply. I didn't know where Tuskegee is. I didn't even know what's going on. But then I took it to my advisor. He said, do you want to teach? I said, yeah. That's only chance you will have. Being from Iran, being woman with 3 kids. At this time, I have 3 kids. They have nothing to do. I got my 2 kids and lined up. So I go into Tuskegee. I said, oh God, I'm not coming back. It's just different for me. It was different. It was very, very different. In South, I have never been in South. It was not, I said, I can't go. My advisor said, that's the only chance you got. What do you want to do? You want to sit here? Can you afford to support yourself? No. I mean, so anyway, we went with the crying eyes. I went. Actually, they are very nice to me. I am glad I persisted and I stayed. And I mean, just being woman in a very conservative area of this country, which is agriculture, it wasn't conducive. You were discriminated against back and forth. If I was an engineer or a doctor, it would be a little different because they needed foreigners. We don't have enough American born. You know that. Either Chinese, Indian, and now Iranian. So it's just that. And I was discriminated in a school of ag. In Missouri, all the students that they were way less than me as far as quality, they got jobs like Lilly, this Monsanto here, there for nutrition, for animal. I didn't get anything because I was Iranian. He said, boom. At the time, I had no visa except student visa. So it was tough, very tough. And you have to do, that's again, you have to decide. And you should be humble and do what is needed for the family. It's not what you like. Changes. Your decision changes based on my practicality. This is life. I cannot sit here, wait for something that may never happen or may happen 5 years from now. How are we going to do till then? It was not easy. So, and my ex wasn't even finished yet because he had another argument with his advisor. He could never finish. He didn't finish till 89. 84, I was done. And he didn't finish till 89. So Sandra has to go. We have to go. So I went, actually, most of the time I was with the kids, and he was in Missouri finishing his degree. It was tough, very tough. Even in a Black university, I was discriminated being white, woman, foreigner. I was the bottom of all. If you start with the Black male, Black, white, those are first top. And then Black woman, then white woman, then a white international guy, and then woman international. I was the 6th, the bottom of the pot as far as priority, to the point that I would suggest something, I had this brain thinking, and they would say, oh, it's a good idea. Okay, Sandra, help such and such, he will lead that. That was my idea. 20 years later, the same professor became dean, Walter Hill. I love him to death now. He retired now, but I told him that. I said, do you remember first what you did to me? You discriminated. I did? I said, absolutely you did. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I just didn't know better. But you know what I'm saying? And even there, to excel, he used to tell me he's fighting with the faculty because he wanted me to be a director of the research for the ruminant that we were working in there in animal science. He had to fight for me, and he took the risk because they didn't want a woman, a white, to be the director. Of course, I broke that ceiling too. I became director, but his risk, I said, I will take that risk. She's fine. So anyway, And, and then everything else, as far as book writing and NRC, I just excel after that. So it was tough.
Can we talk about goats?
Oh,
Why goats? I know a little bit of this because you and I talked, but your animal studies sort of path led you to goats. Let's talk about that a little bit.
oh, very good question again. My God, because, in ag schools, land grant universities, which Tuskegee is a land grant university, by the way, and Auburn is a land grant university of the state of Alabama. Those are two that they are. And Auburn was working with poultry, with swine, with dairy cattle, beef cattle. They were not working with goat or sheep. They were not. So their research. So if I was going to do anything, we didn't have facility. We did not have, we had small teaching units for those, but no research facility because state already appointed or granted that to the land grant, biggest land grant, which was 1860s. Tuskegee is the 1890s. There's a little different, different timing or for Black. And so the only species that we could do research independent of a competition from Auburn University in our state of Alabama, and also having unit research allowed for us to invest in was goats. So goats were my species. If I want to do anything research-wise, and my head was into basic research. I want to do something that hasn't been done. And guess what? Goat was the perfect species for that because cattle has been so much research. All these state universities are on cattle, and then swine, poultry, they were full, everything. I could never be anywhere. But I chose, again, maybe it's a God, it's a blessing. Is the time being when I was where I was? I always think about those things. So goat became my species. So I started working with goats, and I was feeding them poultry litter and all that, and realized, oh, my goats got sick. Oh, then I studied, they said, has a high copper, chicken gets high copper, and it gets to the goat. Oh, let's do goats with the copper. Let's do the tolerance. So I had a good mind. I mean, I designed the research, and it was my research. So I did it, plenty of graduate students willing to work. I did the original basic. There was no data. We would use the data from beef cattle or from sheep, if any, for goats, for any minerals in goats. So I started working with goats and the minerals. That was the only place that I could do. It's not that hard. And there's no competition. And it's a needed place, needed like a little scope of work. So I did, and I'm the first one in this world that did study with goat and determine the tolerance, what level we can feed the goat. I don't think I can do that research with human rights, animal right now, but at the time it wasn't, animal care and use, it wasn't established. So I did that, and it became, in time, I did more, of course, zinc, and I did some other molybdenum. Now, lately, I published it in a month. It was accepted in one of the best journals. I used to have a hard time to publish, but now it's just like everybody wanted me to. But I don't care. No. But it's what I'm saying. I became famous in minerals that in the world. I mean, in the world, and there was places that were feeding because of I said copper is good for goats. They're gonna grow better and all that. And so some people went way overboard because there's a limit. And there was copper toxicity in dairy goats. Who would they call? They would investigate. Google, Solomon would come up. That done research. So I made like 400 an hour expert witnessing and explaining things to different companies. And that's pretty good. That was pretty much good money for a while. So that's, again, you see what I'm saying? You had one little thing nobody cared for. Do the best you can and whatever you have been given chance to do. I could have said, forget it, goat, who cares? No, it's okay. Even it's goats, but it still is scientific. It still is a unique information that you're adding to the science space. And I did that. So that's why my name, I brought that book because this is very prestigious book. That's a nutrient requirement of small ruminant, and I am one of the 8 members of this committee, which is nationally known as the National Research Council, which is very famous. There's a medical, engineer, and agriculture. So I was chosen, and I wrote the chapter on the minerals with a guy, sheep guy from Mexico. So it was like selected through all the world, and I was one of the people in that committee. And still, I am in a nationally, in a national animal nutrition program, which is they were looking for me all over. And then since I'm retired, finally they find, well, God, took us forever to find you, but I'm on that. So I got recognition because of a uniqueness for what I did. And then, of course, if you recall, I mentioned my things. And then I wrote this book, which was a textbook, which is translated to so many languages now, because third world has goats. US may not, but it's the rest of the world they have and they need. So, and in Iran, I was translated in Farsi, and some professor from Iran, they invited me to get my permission to translate, and I helped them because I know Farsi very well. I got my bachelor's degree in Iran, so I was correcting their English translation. No, this doesn't mean like that. So it was nice experience. And then later I was invited to Iran. I went to speak on a goat day. Yeah, that was interesting.
That is really cool. I feel like you're the definition of bloom where you're planted. I feel like throughout your life, wherever you sort of found yourself, you found a way to excel and just find your space in that part of the world and then just do well. And I think the other thing I appreciate, I have a she's not directly my boss, but someone like in a leadership position in my district. And one of the things that she says is throughout her career, she started as a teacher, and then she became a teacher leader, and then a principal, and then a principal leader. And she talks about how in all of those places, when whatever role she had, she just focused on being really good at that role. And then she got the recognition to do the next thing. Never really sought after the next thing because she was just focused on like, I want to be really good at what I'm doing now. And that's like an organic way to sort of
It's a model. That's a
Yeah,
model.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you remind me of that too, because I feel like in your whole story, in your education journey, all of that, you sort of bloom wherever you're planted.
It's not easy, hasn't been easy, but it has been very rewarding. In the midst of all of that, the family was my center. And I had to go get mom and dad. And I was the leading person, even though I was the only working person in my family, but I had to get them here. So, I mean, and I never regret any of it, any of it. I may have been, if I would sacrifice more the family, maybe later on in my life, I would have excelled, but I retired from mom. I retired on the top of my career. When I was publishing, I was grant over grant, millions of dollars of grant I was getting. I had TA, I have assistant, technician, postdocs. I had a kingdom. But when I wanted to retire, my vice president said, why? I said, because mom is sick. I have to go to Texas to take care of mom with my sister. I can't do it here by myself. I have to go. She can't come. She has a husband. I don't. I can just go. So that was, family always stops me. I have to take that first. And I did that. I went and I got them when I was really, didn't have much because I was suffering getting these kids raised. But later, of course, when you work on the thing, you publish and you become famous, and then your salary goes up. That's what happened later. But I just had to do what I had to do. There was always, how do you call it, limitation based on family needs, whatever I need to do to make like mom and dad. I needed them to be here. I wanted them. They were getting old. I had to. So I did that. But I sat with mom. They were at home, and I said, wrote my book. See, that's taking advantage of whatever you have and do the best of the situation. I wrote grants like that. The time I was to the point that my student could come to my home and help me out, and I go, and I wouldn't spend too much time. So I would spend more of the time doing work, but at home, than only going to my classes, like 2-3 hours a week. That's not much. I had TAs. So it's just you make your priorities straight, and God will help you, or whatever.
But I think your parents and your mom specifically came through for you when you needed her support. So it makes sense that those were the sort of values you were raised on, that you would want to do the same for them. You've talked about, having gotten married young and having a relationship that was toxic, and, wanting to get away from that. And I think it goes back to like the advice your mom gave you, which is like, strive to have your own independence so you can get out of any situation that is like that, not wanting to like have the repeated story of like what your mom told you, I can't leave your dad even if I wanted to. It's always hard for people to leave marriages like that. I'm curious what gave you the strength to be able to say, I've got to do this on my own now.
Oh, that's a very, very good question. I was married for 18 years, and all my friends in school and the university, Tuskegee, they all knew that we talked, I always said divorce is not in my vocabulary. I tolerated it. I took it. I thought it's a challenge and I have to do it. But there is a point you reach. There's some limits that when that limit is whatever that is crossed, whatever that
Red line.
my line. And then you have to do something big, because again, it can hurt the environment, that whoever is in that environment. My ex, I would never divorce if I wasn't physically abused. I was strong. Nobody can abuse me mentally, because when I'm set, I'll do. Maybe that's what my problem is. I am stubborn and I have very strong head set. Decision made will be done, as you noticed that. So maybe that didn't go well with him. So he would raise his hand on me. And I just said, I don't understand that. My dad never raised his hand on me. I never been spanked at home. And what is this? He did it the first year of marriage. He did it. And well, Mom, it's okay. It's your husband. That's that generation. It's okay. And he comes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, I don't know better. So, okay, that's fine. But so signs were there. But I just didn't realize, because I was so busy and focused on my stuff. But then as we grew, I became successful. He just couldn't keep up with it. And that was making him mad, because he's Iranian man and he's Armenian Assyrian. But there was a problem. And he would raise his hand in the bedroom most of the time. My son has seen it many, many times in the past. My sister used to come to rescue me when I and my son are in the bathroom hiding, because she came for her master's after me and she stayed with me. And she witnessed that few times when I was getting my PhD and she was getting her master's. And she would come and she said, got the telephone, I will put that on your head. You better get out of here. So she was much better than me. And but time passes and you forgive and they apologize. That's just the way it is. Abuse is like that. And you don't know that you're abused because they ask for forgiveness. So in time, I said, Fred, if you hit me, and if my girls, Diaco has seen it, and I pray that he will not be abuser, and he's not. But my girls, I do not want him to see that a man can raise his hand on a woman. That is absolutely not acceptable. When you did it in the, in the bedroom, nobody saw it. It was a different story. He did it when those two little ones, they were 6 and 7 or something, they were screaming when they saw his choking me. And I just like, when he did, that was my line that crossed. The line was crossed when my girls saw that. So again, programmatic, I said, we're separate. I gave him everything so he can stay in a whatever apartment or whatever. And I said, just separation, then maybe we'll decide 6 months or so, you cool down, because that is not acceptable. So, but I knew I'm going to divorce him. Because I've already seen it, and this is not going to happen again. This is just not right. I didn't do anything. When they were 15, 16, the girls, they asked, Mom, why did you divorce Dad? I would always tell him, it's okay, it's your dad. They love him. He comes. He would come and stay in my house to see the girls because he left for Dallas, left us in Alabama. So I wasn't one of those that deny my kids from their father because, heck, that's the only father they have. I understood he was mad, but I didn't brought that up. It's something that he did to himself because he wasn't happy with himself. And it just some people react like that. And it's not acceptable. Now he is, they call in Farsi mush. He's a mush. He's a mouse. He's nothing. He's so calm. And anytime he sees me, hug me, and he said, you're the best mother ever I could ask for my children. I mean, things change. People change. He's completely a different person. And I have no problem with him. The kids ask, Mom, can you invite, we are going to the beach. Can that come? Yeah, come on. It's okay. I don't care. I don't care. We're friends. I mean, past is past. What is the deal if I keep that grudge? There is no need except myself. That is something that, some of these things make you down. It will put a weight on you. I don't want to have any animosity. People do mistakes, and some of them, they can be forgiven. I have forgiven, never forgotten, never, but forgiven. That's two different things. I never forgotten. So that's why the divorce happened. It wouldn't have happened if he would not abuse me in front of my girls. That's.
Sandra, I admire your strength. And I think as someone who is, do you mind if someone describes you as an overachiever? Because I think you are. But I feel like people, but I think people who have that sort of like characteristic and quality, they tend to take on more than is probably okay for them to take on, because you were so good at everything you put your mind to that you probably saw the challenge in your marriage as like, I just need to overcome this. I can do this.
It took time. I took time. I did not decide overnight. 18 years. For the first year I got abused, it took 18 years to get that strength, to do it. And the reason it was like that, he would scare me. He would want to kill me. I had to have the restraining order so it doesn't come. At the point that he would call me and I said, come and kill me. That is better. Come on now. I was screaming because he would kind of, as soon as I start, I mean, that's a very important point for ladies, girls. When you start getting strong, but you have to give, it's not all just take. You said, come now, come and kill me. I don't, damn, come and kill me. What is this life? Because he would abuse me after separation, that I said, I want a divorce. Stopped. Everything stopped. After that day, I said, come on and do whatever you need to do. I'm ready because I'm ready to die. Then live like this. You be around. That's just the way it is. And that's it. I honestly swear to God, that was it. But I was always scared. But that day, I wasn't scared anymore because I was ready to die. I was ready to let go. Just whatever happened, come and do it because I cannot take this. When this happened, I was screaming. The girls heard me. They were screaming and crying with me on the phone. It was on the phone. I said, come. Because I had a string order, you couldn't come. I said, come on, do it. And that was it. I was surprised because after this and then nothing. I didn't hear anything. That was it. That was it. So,
I think abuse is something that probably happens in Assyrian households, and it's such a
I'm sure.
taboo subject, and people don't talk about it. And women, um, especially like maybe your generation and even before that, they were always told that they had a certain place in the family, and it was not to be leaders of the family, maybe from behind the scenes, but not in the way that you led, by working and providing for your family. And I think that your ability to speak about it and your ability to be open about it is really important. And so I really, really appreciate you sharing that. I know
You know,
we've been talking for quite a while and we could probably keep going, but I wanted you to also talk about your kids. You have a son and two daughters, as you've mentioned. All
Mhm.
three of them are also very successful in what they do.
Yes.
What has it been like for you to watch them excel in their own pathways and do what they're really good at?
Well, I don't know why they love me because I was hard on them. To be honest with you, it went from being hard, do this, and taking care of the problems and this and that. And then they start appreciating, Mom, I love you, Mom. Really? Because I'm just screaming. I never hit, but I screamed. I screamed all my life. Even now, the girls said, the grandkids, I'm saying, I'm screaming, oh, normal mom. She's doing good to the grandkids. But the point is, uh, they were good kids generally, but my life was not defined, myself, I wasn't defined by my job. I was defined as a mother of these kids. And they were all pretty smart, excelled, and very outgoing. So they were very successful in the school system in Auburn, Alabama. I wasn't every bit of their things, but I made sure myself, especially being single parent, I didn't want any friend, guy friend. I had in time some friends, the guy friends and girlfriends. I did it myself. I always would take him to tennis. I would take him to soccer, softball, whatever they had to do, basketball, YMCA. I was with them. My son was a soccer player and his dad was involved because he graduated from high school. He was in college when divorce happened. Worst time for him too. It was tough. But one day he got himself in engineering, which he did well. I mean, the kids were, let me put it this way. In our household, there was no question about going to college. We are going. It's like we go to kindergarten, we go to school, high school, college, and then graduate school is optional, but that is set. And they said, Mom, what can we do to get the best money in the least time? Chemical engineer. I said, if you have the brain, be chemical engineer, you're going to get 4 years and get the best salary. To be honest with you, all three tried to do that. Two of them did it. And that's what Dion and Diaco did. And Diaco was the first one, 95. He was out of college and he made money and he helped us. And with a very low salary in Tuskegee, I was struggling. But he got good money when he graduated and went to Chemi and then in ExxonMobil. So he started like that. He was a good kid. He would, when he was younger, he would lawn grasses. But then he was in a place that, like a car wash, that the owner, Steve Benson, loved him. He was so responsible. He would always tell me, Miss Solomon, he is so good. He is such a good worker. He was, and he is. He was the COO
CEO.
of an oil gas company that they sold it, and he's right now enjoying his 18 months of a pay with a lot of money that they gave him. He's right now unemployed, he says, happily. So he's very, very happy with the 3 kids, and they just went to Singapore and came back. And wonderful, blessed boy. He is a very good son, very good son. And then Dion, he's my middle child. Trouble. She's been hardest of all of them. But she was not making it very well in the college. And I would make her drop all the courses which are below B. Mom, I will never graduate. I said, you better graduate with a good GPA. If not, you will never going to get a job. Okay. She was in chemie. And you know what? After a while, when I made her drop all of that, and then I gave her, if you make a 3.0, I'll pay your tuition. If not, you have to work for your tuition. My God, she had 3.08. She would be just right there. And she made it. And she got MBA from Duke. And she did very well. She's doing very well now. She's not married, no children, but she's a general manager of Thermo Fisher, which is a very well-to-do company, famous. So, and then, of course, Emily, she is triple Dookie. And then she went to, of course, Harvard, Boston for her gynecology, and then to MSK for surgery and oncology. And she's doing very well in YU in New York. And now she has 3 kids, and she's married to her partner, and she's doing wonderful. And she's the one that she wanted me there. She is, Mom, you have to stay with me. You have to live with me. I said, baby, I don't want to lose my independence, but you have to be here, Mom. They need you. My children needs you. So, I mean, I'm considering it. Maybe I leave my house for winter, and the summertime, most of the time I go to New York. I mean, that will work. So anyway, so kids were pretty excel. I was with them constantly. I always tell Emily, nannies cannot raise your kids. That's why she says, then I need you, Mom. I agree with you. They can do the physical, but I want your mentality, because you made 3 successful kids. That is not random, because people do get one good and one, but you have all 3. Dion was my challenge, but she made it. She's wonderful. She's successful. She would have been the failure, but it didn't work, because you have to deal with every child based on their need. There is no equality. It's nothing like that. That's wrong. They say, well, I have to treat them equal. They need different things. As you love them 100%, every one of them, but you may have to treat them differently. Yes, some of them will take more of you. Some of them will need less of you, but they all be good. You can't say they're all the same. It cannot be. I'm just telling you, all the mothers there, it is not possible. There are some kids, they would now, I'm telling my daughter, your son needs more. Mom, but that's not fair. The girls, I said, there's no fairness. This is, if you want a successful kid, remember, Dion, I did a lot more for her than you. Yeah, I remember you bought all those, what do you call it, Tommy Hilfiger's jacket. I said, because I was trying to get her straight. Those things were incentive. But I got you too, you remember? And Dion would say, what did you get her? Well, I did good. I said, baby, she's always good. Do you think I shouldn't give her? But you see what I'm saying? There is time that you have to treat some kids differently, a little bit more attention than the others. They're not the same. So it's
It's like the story of the prodigal son, and when the prodigal son comes back, his brother says, how come
right.
you threw me a party?
Exactly. That's just, yeah, heck, I was doing biblical thing. Exactly.
There you go.
I agree with you 100%. Very true.
Yeah.
But it's such a fine line. It's such a delicate. That means you have to know your kids very well. You have to be with them to know them, so you can give them what they need. They're just different. They are very different. So,
Sandra, I appreciate everything you've shared about your life story and your sort of life lessons that you've shared. We always end every interview by asking if you could say one thing to all of the listeners of the Assyrian podcast, what would it be?
One thing, I would say have faith, work hard, be positive. Those are the three, I think, very crucial things. Everything will fall in. It's just, you have to work hard. It's nothing cheap. Nothing is easy. Honestly, you can't just, well, you get the result of easiness, but you work hard, have faith. If you don't have faith, it will not happen. Have you heard of a placebo effect? It's effect. It's serious. It does work. So that means you get yourself placebo right. So you can think right, think positive, and positive thing will happen. That's when the trust or faith comes in. And just what you have to put in, what you will get out.
That's it for this week. Tune in next week when we'll have a new episode for you. See you next Tuesday.